Awesome. Okay. So welcome. I know for those of you who went to the first Career Center meeting or workshop, you know who I am if you did not. My name is Wendy Cooper, and I'm your career coach. I'm located at the UHD Career Center. And today we're going to talk about resumes and interview tips and how to stand out. Because that's what students overwhelmingly had asked about. If you have something else you want to ask about, or if you have a question when we are going over and reviewing, please put that in the chat, and then Christian's going to monitor that. Just wanted to let you know that we have free professional headshots this Wednesday, November 13th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And career coaches are going to be available to help students by reviewing their LinkedIn profiles as well. And Yes Prep is also going to be here to review those LinkedIn profiles. For those of you who are interested in the healthcare industry, Scribe America will be tabling also this Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the food court tables near Starbucks. So consider, if you are interested, speaking to them about those opportunities. All right. So just as a reminder, at the Career Center, we do everything from help you figure out, what you want to do after you finish your degree, how to plan your steps, mock interviews, career fairs. We have an online job board. How do you network and opportunities? Okay. And you'll find the drop-in link on our webpage. We've got drop-ins Monday through Thursday as well. Okay. So let's talk about how to make that great impression with resumes and interviewing, okay? And I'm going to kind of review some of the things that we talked about during the first meeting, but then go into a little more detail. So remember that this quote is a really good reminder that every job is unique and a resume should reflect that. Not only is every job unique, but every situation and who you are applying for and who your audience is unique, right? So tailoring your resume to a specific job that you're applying for, or maybe if you're going to grad school, and really thinking about who is your audience, that is the best approach. So you want to, carefully either read that job description, compare the requirements and the skills to the experience you have, and that's really going to help you stand out. Okay. So again, your resume purpose is to persuade an employer to land you an interview. You want to use those keywords found in the job posting within your resume. If it's an internship posting, you want to also look at those keywords. You want to showcase, again, what are your key skills that are related to what you're going for. You want to distinguish yourself from other candidates by featuring your unique accomplishments and experience. And it's got to be professional and easy to read, right? And it's going to give you also them an overview of your academic and either employment or other experience, because experience can be paid, unpaid, volunteering, anything that's for an internship, right? A research experience, anything that is related to what you're going for. Remember that your resume format needs to be typically with an entry-level job, approximately a page in length. Obviously, you don't want to have any grammar or spelling errors. You want to have consistent font and spacing. Use bullet points, not paragraphs. Use periods consistently or not at all. You can typically use margins between 0.5 and 1 inch. You don't want to crowd that page. You want to use font size 10 to 12 points. You want to use an easy to read font. I would recommend like a sans serif font. You want to use consistent use of bolding, caps, italics, and bullets. You want to use reverse chronological order, which means that you want to start with the most recent experience first. You want to use really common section titles, and I'll get into reasoning why soon, and it's also listed at the banner at the bottom. But you really want to have them common, clearly listed, and easy to find, like summary, education, you know, a particular type of experience, skills, etc. You don't want to use tables, pictures, text boxes, graphics, personal pronouns, and you don't want to use a template because your resume is going to be scanned by software, and an applicant tracking system or an ATS friendly resume must be easy to scan. So instead of like fancy formatting or using templates, an ATS resume features a simple font and layout and labels, okay? So the ATS really focuses on keywords that are found in the job posting to determine if an application matches what the employer is looking for. As a rule of thumb, typically they're looking for 80% match, okay? So it's really important to remember that you have two gatekeepers here. You have the initial ATS, especially for most companies, unless you're looking at, you know, a startup or a very small company where they might just ask for the resume, right? And then the other gatekeeper is the employer, the recruiter, the internship coordinator, right? Who's actually maybe had a hand in writing that job posting. And so they're really focusing on what the things that they want that you have. Let me know if you have any questions. So I have a couple of questions for you. In the chat, if you could let me know, do you think you should mention or list references on your resume?
May you
Okay.
repeat that question, Wendy? My bad.
Yes, so no, you should not, because really you want to focus on the skills that you want that employer to see, okay? So you don't want to waste your space, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But let's just review, you know, the basics here. This is a sample resume outline, and you'll notice that the skills section is just below the summary, drawing the employer's attention to it. This is a really good strategy if, for instance, you really don't have a lot of experience, but you want to showcase what you want them to look at first, right? Uh, and then also the next thing that we like to put is the education section. This is also kind of important. Say you're going for an internship. Uh, well, they're going to be interested in those relevant courses, okay? So for the education section, think about what is something that you want to really stress to that employer. Um, and think about, you know, keep those skills section limited to hard skills, like they could be proven or tested to apply to your industry or relate to the job posting when applying for positions. You really want them to zero in. But what's even more important is if you're listing that you have those skills, showcase in your experience section or sections how you're using those skills. Okay, so this is important to the ATS and the person because the person wants to see how you've utilized your skills, okay? So again, remember that experiences are relevant to the job description or career goal, and they can include paid, unpaid volunteer projects, research, anything that shows that you have the skills the employer is looking for, okay? I want you to think about your own resume, take a look at it, and ask yourself, does it highlight, when you look at it, does it look like a resume for the career goal that you're applying for, okay? So if the answer is no, then we need to rebrand it, okay? So again, these are the things that should be included. We talked about them. So your resume is like a billboard rented just to advertise you. So you want to be sure to put what employers want to see to grab their attention quickly. So think about what are your heavy hitters and what they're looking for, okay? The things that you have that they're looking for, and also the things that you're really good at. And you want to grab their attention by placing that important information and headings within the top 2/3 of your resume, okay? So you want to emphasize what you want them to look at. And you can use some strategies to de-emphasize some other things that kind of you don't want to necessarily draw as much attention to. It's really important to brand yourself in a certain way so that you really can grab their attention. Any questions about that? Okay. So we talked about last time being purposeful, using specific examples, highlighting your results, and using keywords strategically, right? So just as a refresher, you want to, once you know what examples you'll focus on and highlight when you're describing any kind of experiences, you want to be specific, give examples, describe accomplishments, show how you've added value to the organization or what you were doing. Okay. So if you compare these two statements or the general and vague to specific, you'll notice that using actual numbers is a technique to draw the eye. Okay. So that really also shows that and proves that you're showing how you added value to that organization. Okay. And quantifying really helps, right? So here are some other examples, starting with that verb, highlighting what you did, and then showcasing results, okay? Again, you really want to be specific as to what you want to share on that resume, okay? If it's not going to help you convince that employer that you are the right candidate, then that's not something that you want to put on your resume, okay? Again, that ATS is really important. Those hiring managers do scan for those key terms, okay? All right, so challenges. We did mention this. We're going to go into a little more detail, but there are some challenges that you could face as a student when you're writing your resume, right? So you might have a career or educational gap, right? So it depends on where you are in your life, right? Maybe you think, okay, well, I don't have a lot of experience working or doing something that's within my new career field that I'm going into. You might have been doing something else. Well, you want to kind of realize that you're building these experiences now, and those are the things that you want to highlight in the top 2/3 of your resume. But you're also you might be bringing some other experiences to the table, right? So you might have had some excellent customer service experiences that you're bringing to the table, for instance. So you can use those as kind of your transferable or portable skills to showcase how you are just a value added employee. Maybe you have really great leadership skills, right? Maybe you've done project management, and project management is really, really important no matter what you're doing, right? So I want you to think experience is not just paid experience, right? Okay. So, and I also want you to think about a long or short resume. Sometimes people think that, oh, a longer resume is a better resume. Well, just keep in mind that 6 to 7 seconds is the initial time that an employer will look at a resume. So you really want to have this be your billboard, right? And you don't want to put extra information in there that might be distracting, right? Especially in the top 2/3. You really want to hit home what you're advertising. So what if you are, you do have a lot of years of experience, and I know that I was asked this question, I think, before in the first session. You might be drawing on some other years of experience or other types of experience, but you want to showcase that into a summary. Here are a couple of different examples that you can do with that. So here's somebody who has experience in healthcare, not necessarily, they're not necessarily naming that particular experience, right? They're mentioning their bachelor's in biology, and they're talking about how they want to use their firsthand experience towards being a biology teacher and to apply their instructional leadership skills, okay? So you see, that's a way that you can kind of mention, hey, I have some of these other skills, right? And I'm applying them to what I'm seeking, okay? Here's another example. This is a computer science student who has a lot of customer service experience, right? And so how are they going to kind of signal right away to that employer, hey, I've got this experience and I want to apply it here. So they're going to think about how those skills apply to that position. So here's an example here. Detail oriented, right? So they're tagging themselves right away. That's important. Professional with a bachelor's in computer science, okay? So right away they're saying, hey, I've got a bachelor's in computer science, a strong foundation in customer service. So they're mentioning their customer service. And then what are they seeking? Seeking a software development position to do what? Leverage problem solving skills, technical expertise, and a customer-centric approach, right? So kind of a mix of all the things that they have experience in and have learned in their bachelor's. So then they mention right away some hard or technical skills here to signal to the employer, hey, these are the skills you're looking for. I want to mention them right away. Skilled in Python, Java, SQL with a proven ability to communicate effectively with diverse teams. That might have been mentioned in the job description, right? And users to understand and address complex technical needs. So that's something that you can showcase in maybe your project experience, right? But also whatever customer experience this individual had, they had to, in their experience, they had to kind of explain things to people that they might not have understood before, okay? So again, kind of showcasing what this individual has right away. Just to let you know, if you don't write a summary, the ATS will create one for you. So it's really important to brand yourself, right? Always brand yourself. Oops, skipped. Okay, so I showed this to you before, but I actually am going to talk about and giving you an example, and we're going to talk about the ATS, right? So there are some free tools you can use for the ATS, and it's jobscan.co and resumeworded.com, okay? And they allow you to insert the job description and then upload your resume to see if the system marks if your job description and your resume are a good match, okay? So I encourage you to use these free tools to kind of improve your resume after you've kind of customized your resume to the job posting. But thinking about customization and focusing on those key terms, the resume example on the right is customized to a pharmaceutical sales rep role. And you'll see the focus on sales and numbers in their bulleted action statements. And I kind of want to just review this with you. So if you notice, if you see on the screen, they have focused on their sales experience, okay, because they're going for a pharmaceutical sales position, right? They're also talking about, hey, they have a bachelor's right? And they're focusing on that because it's a scientific related bachelor's. And they're also certified uh, in pharmacology sales. Okay. So those are things right away that I call heavy hitters. Like if you go to the job posting and you look at required and preferred skills, uh, if you have something that they require or want, right? They prefer, then you want to right away kind of showcase that. Uh, this individual actually is focusing on their sales because pharmaceutical sales reps need to have some proven sales numbers. And you notice that they right away in their summary put an accomplishment generated 400K sales for retailer, making it a $1 million store, produced 40% of the store sales from AT&T in 2015 and 2016. Okay. So right away, everybody knows that they're a producer, okay, in the sales world, okay. They have broken down their skills very specifically, right? They've chosen sales and marketing first. If you see that in the subheadings under skills, and they're really focusing on certain things there. Then they put some laboratory skills, okay? Well, just kind of highlighting these are the skills that I gained in school that I know about so that I can talk and talk intelligently about uh, that information and really interact in a way where I can understand who these candidates are, right? That I'm helping, or not, I'm sorry, not candidates, but the doctors that I'm talking to when I'm engaging in pharmaceutical sales, right? And then they showcase their computer skills. So if you notice in their experience section, they started with strong action verbs. They've really put in numbers to really showcase how they're value added. And if you notice, if you look at the resume, your eye is kind of drawn to those numbers. So no matter what you do, it's a good idea to use that technique because it really helps draw the eye, okay? So instead of kind of like job duties, they're focusing on accomplishments. So if you look at the AT&T lead retail consultant, the second bullet point, appointed as interim store manager for 6 months while management in transition. Okay, so that showcases a lot of skills just with that statement. That says a lot, right? That says that their supervisor trusted them, right, to be that that interim store manager while the management was in transition, right? And then he says promoted to small business expert within 3 months, right? Chosen as employee of the month for 8 straight months. And then focusing on sales, the very first bullet point, right? Because this is sales. So the first bullet point and the last bullet point really kind of, your eye is focused on that. So he said led store and new activation sales, right? But then he's talking about training as well, okay? He goes on to do that in all of the sales positions that he has, okay? So this resume is going to look a little different than an internship resume, right? So let's look at some students who are going for an internship, right? Or a research experience. How might you do that? And again, everybody's different, right? So your resume is going to you're going to take the things that you are going to advertise, right? And so even the format is might be different or what you choose to go in there, okay? So on the left-hand side, for the computer science student, they are looking for an internship. So they've listed their GitHub and their contact information in addition to their LinkedIn. So their GitHub is a place where they can put their portfolio and go into a little more detail about what they are doing. In the summary, they've mentioned their school projects, okay? 2 years of experience developing, executing, and testing computer hardware and software through multiple school projects, strong communicator and leader. That's like their special sauce that they have. Okay. So his leadership experience or her leadership experience, you can notice in their work experience section. Okay. And then what are they seeking? Okay. So they decided to really have a lot of subheadings so that they could showcase all of these different things. Again, it's going to be different as per the student or individual and as per what that position is looking for. And you want to look at the job or internship position to see that. If you notice here, they also shared that they have a GPA above 3.5. That's something that's, says a lot of positive about them. So they chose to put that. They're going for an internship. So they, in both situations, one of them is looking for an internship. The other one's looking for research opportunities. They're both listing relevant coursework. Okay. And then for the computer science student, they're showcasing how they're applying those skills, right, through their projects. And if you notice, a lot of specific words, keywords, right there. But look how they showcase their leadership experience or their additional experience, because note how they said strong communicator and leader, right? So here they put in this section, they put updated and managed outdated technical system to maximize use of multiple groups, okay, with improved and efficient results. They put that because it's something technical that they did, right? And that could kind of relate. But then also they focused on some management or leadership. So organized and managed 10 plus members to execute projects and requests given by senior officials. Okay, so they're working with different people who aren't, who might be different levels than they are. And why might this be important? Because in the job that they're really going for, software engineering or software development, you're going to have different people that you're working with, right? Executives, different departments or whatnot. And they wanted to showcase that as well. And also they're advertising their project management here, okay? So you see that? That's kind of goes towards their project management. On the right, you're going to look at a resume for a chemistry student. They're looking for a research experience. So they're focusing their summary on what would be relevant for their research experience, such as their major, concentration, their minor, a high GPA, they signaled right away. Their skills, they have lab skills and technology tools that would be relevant, like MATLAB, advanced Excel, VBA macros, and then regular office tools. And then they have a language that's other than English that could be used in any kind of role, especially if there is a role that's asking for a particular language skill, you want to list that, okay? They have actually a section on relevant coursework because they don't have a lot of research experience or other experience. So that's why they chose that, okay? They did list their research and they also listed volunteering. And the reason why they listed this is because these skills are related to hand-eye coordination, working with animals, and that might be something happening in a lab, right? Or something related to those skills. So this student actually showcased their skills in caring for epileptic dogs. So they mentioned dispensing medications and whatnot for specific animals. Any questions about those kind of specific examples that kind of give you an idea of how different students might, everyone's different. So how you're going to advertise yourself is going to look not the same. And it's really based on who you're advertising to, right? And you've got to look at that job or internship description. So Again, think of yourself as renting that billboard. Okay, so let's talk about interviews. So for the employer, why do they have an interview? Well, what are they trying to get out of this? They really want to know why they should hire you instead of somebody else, what you can do for their company and employees, and would they want to sit next to you every day? Would they want to work with you? Okay. So does your personality fit, right? The dynamic of the team. So for you, you obviously want to sell your strengths and skills through your stories and experience. You do want to research the company and the job to see if it would be a good fit for you, okay? So you're actually wanting to be very proactive and an active listener when you are in this interview process, because if you hear a red flag for you, then you can follow up on that, okay? So again, you do want to research the company, the industry. You do want to review the company website. You want to look at recent news stories. You want to study that job description. You want to know how your skills relate to the key skills that are needed, and you want to be able to answer that and speak to that. You can do a Google search for interview questions for the title and the position you're applied for, right? You could go through them and write down how you might respond to each of the questions. Study them and prepare. We do mock interviews, okay? This is just a little bit about how you can dress. I'm not going to go into great detail about that. Just to advertise. Again, we do have a career closet for students. You can come down to One Main Building South 402 and we can take you there. It's actually located in the Basic Needs Center on the second floor. So just some few tips during the interview. You want to definitely, no matter if it's a remote interview or a face-to-face interview, you do want to smile, or if it's a phone interview, smile, because the employer will be able to hear the difference in your voice if it's a phone interview, for instance. You definitely want to dress for the interview. You need to feel like you're there if you're remote. You want to avoid distractions. You want to close the door. You want to use and take notes. You want to always get contact information so you can follow up. So you can actually also ask prior to the interview who you're interviewing with, right? Who will I be meeting with? And so you can kind of get that information. Just remember when you're having a face-to-face interview, you definitely want to shake hands firmly and smile upon greeting your interviewers. Just be aware of your body language. You want to project confidence, so you want to sit up straight, you want to smile. You want to use your hands sparingly, and I'm going to tell you this. I use my hands a lot, but when we talk about using hands sparingly when you're speaking, you don't want it to be too distracting, right? So you don't want to say in a remote interview, use your hands and have them be in front of your face, right? That would be distracting. So everybody's different, right? And I'm not saying change your behavior, but you just want to be aware, right, of what you want the interviewee or the interviewer to see, right? You want them to pay attention to what you're bringing to the table, not necessarily being distracted by something like that. You do want to use eye contact, right? So you practicing using AI video or practicing and doing a mock interview here, for instance, is a really good way to find out, if you don't already know, what are some of the things that you can work on in that arena, okay, as far as your body language and things like that. So let's talk about some tough but common interview questions. There's the tell me about yourself. So we talked about the elevator pitch before in the first meeting. The tell me about yourself is your elevator pitch, okay? So you want to focus on your education and your work. When I say work, I mean anything that relates to the skills that you're developing, okay? So if you're developing your skills through project experience, right? Or you've developed them through volunteering or whatnot, those are the things that you want to talk about. You definitely want to be positive, and you want to tell the interview why you applied, okay? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? When you're talking about weaknesses, express ways in which you're working to improve your areas. And this is a common question, although it's not my favorite. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? If it's a large company and they have a position and you're looking for it, then it's not going to hurt you to say, hey, I want to do this, and I noticed, that you have this position or whatnot, okay? Why should we hire you is pretty much, it's the same way sort of as the tell me about yourself or the elevator pitch, but it's kind of a little more aggressive, I guess. Why should we hire you, right? So again, you want to do the same thing that you're doing in the elevator pitch. You want to think about the job qualifications. You want to share the qualifications you possess. You want to remind them about your education, your experience, and why you're a good fit, right? So here's an example of a tell me about yourself, okay? I'm a junior studying structural analysis and design engineering technology at the University of Houston downtown, where I've completed several hands-on projects, including designing a steel frame structure and conducting stress analysis for load-bearing beams. Last summer, I interned with XYZ Engineering, where I worked on drafting building blueprints and conducting site inspections to ensure project compliance. I'm passionate about using my problem-solving skills to tackle complex engineering challenges, and I'm particularly interested in this position because it allowed me to further develop my technical expertise while contributing to impactful real-world projects. So if this student had what I call kind of like, what's your special sauce? Additional, like something else. Maybe they hadn't interned at a place, but they wanted to talk about their leadership or project management skills, right? Then they could talk about that. So all of these are going to be tailored and specific, obviously from the student, but also to what they're looking for as well. So think about what you're bringing to the table there. Okay, what is your greatest weakness? That is a question that is sometimes challenging, right? So you want to name your weakness. I don't recommend that you call it a weakness. I mean, because negative connotation words really kind of glom onto the brain of whoever's listening, and you don't want to have that be distracting, okay? So you want to name what you're working on, right? Something I've been working on is, okay? You want to describe what steps you've taken to improve it. You want to give examples, okay? You want to share some insight that you've gained, okay? So something that I've been working on, sometimes it's hard for me to let go of a project. I can always find something that needs to be improved or changed. So to help myself improve, I've given myself deadlines prior to the rollout date, and this helps ensure that I'm not making changes at the last minute. Also, I now keep an improvement ideas list that I use to perfect future projects, as I always strive for improvement, and I want to take what I've learned and apply to my future projects. And then you could give an example. For example, I did this, right? So really, what is the interviewer looking for when they ask for a weakness? Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has strengths. They want a candidate who knows their strengths and weaknesses so that they can work successfully on a team and be successful in that position, right? So if you know your strengths, then you know how to play to your strengths, and you're going to want to kind of maybe go in that direction, right? If you're on a team and you're given a project, you would choose something that you're good at. But you also need to know what your weaknesses are, so that you can watch out for them, and so that you can be a productive employee. Okay. So these are common questions. These are often called behavioral questions, right? The employer's looking for how you might function in a role, right? And these questions can be answered by using the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, result. So tell me about a time you experienced a conflict and how you handled it. So everybody has a conflict, right? So how did you display that maturity and professionalism when handling that situation, right? Tell me about a time when you worked as a team to accomplish a goal. What is your role when working with others? Are you a team player? How do you function in that team? Give me an example where you tried to accomplish something and failed. What did you learn from the experience? So everyone's failed at something. If you're asked this question, provide an example. It shows your humility, but it also shows, especially highlight and focus on what you learned, right? And maybe what you took with you from that experience. Tell me about a time when you had multiple projects to work on at once. How did you prioritize? Okay, so this is really important for many, many jobs, right? How do you prioritize? So they want to see your organizational skills, your sound judgment, how you problem solve, right? So how do you answer these behavioral questions? You want to recall those recent situations that showed your relevant skills. You want to use examples from work, projects, classes, leadership, teamwork, whatever. You want to structure it using STAR. It's a story. So every story has a beginning, middle, and end. They're looking for one detailed account, okay? And a 1 to 2 minute answer should be descriptive, but concise, okay? So what might that look like? So here's some sentence starters for what that might look like. The situation, like our customers complained, right? What was the problem, right? You described the problem or challenge. We've faced a supply chain shortage, okay? And then go into that. And then what actions did you take? What did you do? How did you do it, right? We solved this, or I calculated this, or the team did this. And what were the results? The benefits, the recognitions, the rewards, the impact of this. And then I always talk about like the tail on the star, really what you learned, okay? What did you learn from this experience? So here's an example. And the one part of this format that typically interviewees forget is the result. And when you're listening to somebody tell a story, you don't want them to forget what happens at the end, right? And so when you're answering a behavioral question, you want to remember that you talk about what were those kinds of results, okay? So just some tips, and I'm going to maybe give you some links as well. Listen to the entirety of the interviewer's question. If you're the kind of person who jumps to answer, don't interrupt with an answer before they finish. If you're having a hard time answering a question, please remember that it's okay to ask the interviewer for a moment to think about your response rather than just sitting there in silence. This is really important, especially if you're on a phone interview. They can't see you, right? So they can't see your body language, but you don't want to sit there in silence. If you're the kind of person like me who likes to take notes and write things down, then you could say, oh, that's a good question. Give me a moment. I'm going to think about that. And then you jot something down, right? And then answer it. If you don't understand the interviewer's question, ask for clarification. It's better than giving a response that isn't going to be applicable to the question, because then the employer is not really getting what they need from you. So a lot of times I talk about an interview being like a first date, okay? So when you're talking to someone on a first date, you want to ask questions, but then answer questions with stories and examples, right? Because you want that person to know more about you. So you want to really be listening like in that first date scenario, right? You're both wanting to get to know each other, right? You're both finding out information about each other. So I know that sometimes interviewing can be stressful, but if you remember always that interviewing is a conversation, okay, it's a give and take, and you're learning things as well, then sometimes that will help, okay? Always ask questions after the conclusion of your interview, okay? Always, always, okay? Asking questions showcases that you're interested in the job, and it can give you some good information. If you have some red flags when you're talking to somebody, just like in a first date, right? Are you going to follow up with some questions? Absolutely. Okay. So you can ask a follow-up question, right? You can ask questions that will get you or give you the ability to kind of promote yourself more, or answer a question that they didn't ask that you need to speak about. So what qualities would an ideal person have for this job have, right? That could help with that. Uh, because then if they say something and then you can address it right there, you're giving them that information, right? That they need to know to make that decision. Uh, what do you like or dislike about working for this company? There are various questions that you can ask, but I want you to know that just like with a first date, you don't want to ask really too generic questions. You want them to know that you've done your research, right? And you're specifically asking questions about them. I think, is it okay, Christian, if I go over a little bit? So, because we started late.
You're good. You're good.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, I just wanted to
Good.
check
Don't
and make
worry.
sure. Okay, so a good question can oftentimes get you a job. Why could a good question get you a job? Well, because a question lets the interviewer know how much you understand about a problem or a situation, right? Uh, it showcases how whether or not you really do get what the problem is or the issues are, right? Um, and that I know that a good questions and have good conversation, right? Uh, the more they're kind of going to be able to know who you are, how you think. Okay, so again, just to complete this or harken back to this analogy about first dates, uh, if you're thoughtful, right, about the questions that you ask and you've done your research, right, uh, then that person is going to know, right, that you've done that. And that will be something that will be positive for you, right? They're going to be able to tell. Now, if you get on in this situation and there are lots of red flags and you decide that you don't want to uh, move this relationship forward, right? Then that is okay, right? But you still need to find out. So questions are so important. And then also giving examples when you give answers, okay? Because nobody can know how you think or how you conduct yourself unless you give those details, okay? If you've ever done sales, you will know that you have to be a closer before the leaving. If you like this job, uh, let them know again that you're interested and tell the interviewer why you feel that you're a good fit. Okay, you could do this after maybe asking a question like, what's the next step in the interview process? And you could say, I'm really interested in this position. Uh, I and I'm, I feel like I'm a good fit because of ABC. What's the next step in the hiring process, right? I would not ask about salary info at your interview. You want to wait until you secure the job before beginning salary negotiations. Now, there are some exceptions to those rules, right? So some of you might have gone to the JMIS conference, and there might have been some talk about that because you might have been engaged in a quick interview situation, right? There are exceptions to this, right? But in general, you don't want to do that yet. You want to follow up, send a thank you note or email within 20, I would say that day for sure within 24 hours. Try to find a subject of interest that was discussed in your interview and mention it in the thank you to show you were paying attention. Okay. So you want to send out those emails, a thank you email. You want to connect via LinkedIn, make sure your profile is updated. Come to our Wednesday link up with LinkedIn. If you have multiple offers, congratulations, get the offer in writing, including the expiration date. It's best to know how long you have until they want a response from you. Okay, so here's an example of an email. Thank you for spending the time to interview with me today during the blank event or whatever. I enjoyed speaking with you, especially regarding blank. As a candidate, I'm confident in my abilities to further blank's goals. Please contact me with any further questions regarding my qualifications. So just make sure that you can be more effusive or more, use different words here, right? You want to sound like yourself, but that's just an example. I do have some information for salaries and salary negotiating. Uh, and then also determining your bottom line. So I'm going to share this with you. But basically, you need to know what your bottom line is to cover your living expenses. Okay. If you're staying in Texas, there's something called Texas Reality Check. You can go to payscale.com. That's a good resource for new grads because it offers free salary reporting based on experience, education. They have a college salary report. Levels.fyi is good, especially for technical positions. Okay. They go into a little more detail about total compensation and bonuses and equity. They actually provide live salary submissions. Salary.com, salarylist.com, and the actual salary data from the U.S. government, from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, is in the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And that's salary data from thousands of jobs searchable by field. Okay. So that's bls.gov. Okay. Um, and I've done this before, but just think about it. If you're asked this question, what salary range would be required to take this job? You don't want to leave it in their hands, right? You don't want to really necessarily give them your last salary because that wouldn't be necessarily applicable to an entry-level position, right? So you could say something like, I need more information about the job before we discuss salary, right? Maybe you could tell me what's budgeted, how your commission structure works, but still you want to do that research before going in as well. So after you get a position, you want to weigh all factors. You want to think about the bottom line, most important. Don't just give them an answer right then. If especially if it's something that you really need to think about. Um, you want to you want to think about that salary versus total compensation, right? You want to ask about commissions, bonuses, benefits, right? Tell them you need time to consider the offer. Know what your walkaway number is. So is this applicable to an internship opportunity? No, this is an entry level position, right? So an internship, a lot of times uh, now they are posting, the amount that is provided, right, for that internship. And also, the if it's maybe a research experience, right? It might be a stipend situation. So that's already something a lot of times that's offered. Okay, so this is kind of like an entry level thing to think about. And then there are some salary negotiation resources. So just as a recap, you want to research the company. You want to know what traits employers are looking for. You want to focus on those key requirements for the job. You want to dress to impress. You want to have 5 good star stories prepared. You want to practice, show them what makes you unique, include details. You want to bring up hard and soft skills. So hard skills are like technical things that you're learning. And then soft skills are like communication, leadership, teamwork, and how you have really exercised those skills and how you're good at those skills. You want to practice to keep your answers natural, and you want to demonstrate the value that you bring to the company. And don't forget to follow up. So just like at a first date, if you're interested, you want to follow up, right? So it's the same with an interview. All right, so this is how you can contact me. We are about to, it's about time, so I'm going to give you, if you have any other questions or any questions, let me know. But if you don't, thank you. So I'll wait a little bit and see if you have any questions.
Want to leave it to an open mic, Wendy? Just ask anybody who would like to ask a question to open their mic.
Yes, please. I see something in the chat. Okay, thank you. So if you want to go into detail into any of these skills, or if there's something else that I did not cover today, I would strongly encourage that you make an appointment. So you can make an appointment through the QR code here, Jobs for Gators. You can scan that QR code. I'll also provide this to the team and make that appointment. Um, you can also do drop-ins. So we have drop-ins in person and virtually, Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. We are located in the One Main Building, South 402. There's our Zoom link. And these are not appointments. They're very quick, 10 to 15 minutes usually. If you don't find an appointment that is conducive to your schedule on Jobs for Gators, please reach out to me. You can email me at cooperw@uhd.edu, or you can call our office, 713-221-8980. And so just remember to prepare and understand what your goals are in the job search, right? You really want to create that tailored resume. You want to research those companies. You want to practice those interview questions and follow up and reflect. All right, that's all I have. If you have no questions.
No questions, y'all? No question.
So hopefully that means that I did a good job. But
Yes, yes, you did great.
again, if you have questions, please let me know. And if you want to go do deeper dive into what you want to focus on with your career goals, your journey, any kind of questions related and around to career development, please, please, please come and see me. Okay?
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay. See y'all, everybody. This will conclude the meeting. There's no check-in because of the link. But we have already noted everybody who attended today. Alrighty. If by any chances you would like a recording, just send us an email at our ATA email and we'll be in contact. Alrighty. Thank you everybody for coming in today. You have a good afternoon. Alrighty. This will conclude the meeting.
Christian, can I get a copy of who attended?
Of course, yes, yes. We'll
Okay, great.
email it to you in a bit. All
Okay,
right.
sounds good. Thank
All right.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You have a good one. Erica, you're still there? Erika, you still there? All right, y'all. Logging out.